Heading into the NFL season, it looked like a lock. The Bengals were going to be a playoff team and maybe even be a Super Bowl contender, but that has certainly not been the case this year. In 11 games so far for the Bengals, they are just 4-7 and need a lot of help trying to get in a postseason this year. As it currently stands, coming off their bye week, Cincinnati has an 11% chance to make the postseason. And with 6 games left, every single one of these are very, very critical for Cincinnati to win. They host Pittsburgh, they go to Dallas, they go to Tennessee, they host Cleveland, they play the Denver Broncos, and then the final game of the year, they go on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. But in some miraculous way, if Cincinnati were to somehow win out and win their final remaining 6 games, Cincinnati would have a 96% chance to make the postseason if they went out and win their remaining 6 games on their schedule. If Cincinnati were to be 5-1 with their final 6 games, but their only loss would be to the Dallas Cowboys, they would still have a 55% chance, because this game, out of all those other games, doesn't really hurt the Bengals a ton, because since the Cowboys are in the NFC, it doesn't really hurt the Bengals when it comes to AFC wildcard standings and everything like that. Cleveland has just 3 wins, and they're not really in the wildcard contention, so losing to them wouldn't hurt a ton, but you still do not want to lose to Cleveland at all. If they lost to Cleveland, that was their only loss during the final 6 games, that would give them a 45% chance to make the postseason. If they lose just 1 game out of their final 6-game stretch, and that would be to the Tennessee Titans, they would still have a 42% chance. And playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, and if that is their only loss, their final 6 games, they would have a 30% chance to make the postseason. The Steelers are contending with the Baltimore Ravens to win the AFC North. Who doesn't win their division will get a wild card spot. And just like Denver, they are a team who's also contending for a wild card spot, surprising a lot of people this year. If they lose to Denver, and that's their only loss of their 6 games, they would have just a 20% chance to make the postseason. You don't want to lose any games, your final 6 games, if you're the Bengals, but you certainly cannot lose to Denver, and you certainly cannot lose to Pittsburgh, because those 2 games, if you just lose one, those 2 games will affect you the most when determining or not if you're going to make the postseason. In a very, very, very slim chance Cincinnati loses 2 games, they're not technically out of it. If Cincinnati were to lose to the Dallas Cowboys and lose any of those final games, whether it's to the Steelers once, the Broncos, the Titans, or the Browns, and they lose to the Dallas Cowboys, they would still have a 3% chance, but they would need a whole lot of help. Realistically, I think you could basically give this just a 1% chance. You're not going to see Cincinnati get in the postseason being at 8-9. Some teams like Pittsburgh and the Denver Broncos are just a game or 2 away from already having 8 wins on the year. In all the other scenarios, the Bengals have less than a 1% chance. If they lose 2 games and if both of those losses come against AFC opponents, that gives them a less than 1% chance. If they lose more than 2 games, they are completely out of it. Moral of the story is Cincinnati just has to win their games, win each week. If they win 5 out of 6, they have a pretty good chance of making it. If they win all remaining 6, it's almost a lock that they make the postseason, finishing off at 10-7. But this is certainly not the situation that we thought we were going to be in heading into the season. It really sucks that the Bengals are basically in panic mode and have to win out just in order to make the postseason. But comment your thoughts if you think the Bengals will make the postseason or not. That about does it for this video. If you're new to my channel or you've seen my videos before, make sure to like this video and hit the subscribe button. I would really, really appreciate it. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time on the Sports 2 Hines Show.